Bron, let's talk about screen time and how much you allow your kids to be on Nintendos, Xboxes, iPads, and TVs.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Top 1%er podcast, where we talk about more than encompassing wealth creation, but also, living a life by design and being intentional with what we do. Uh,
Intentional about screen time,
Intentional about screen time, right?
Xbox
And
time.
technology and that kind of stuff, right? So every household's different. I feel like this is a hard subject, but I know that you and I both are intentional about what we're doing with our kids and how what kind of rules we have in place and that kind of stuff.
Can I
But
just say one thing?
yeah,
I make a lot of mistakes with this.
for sure, everybody does.
Oh,
And that's what we're here for. And this community is together to help kind of talk about best practices and what things that we can do to strengthen the home,
yeah.
right?
So if you do have best practices, we want to hear about them.
For sure. So let's talk about screen time, and that's all of it. What are some rules in your house with iPads and you know we're both on social media a lot. So
Yeah.
obviously this is part of our livelihood. This is part of what we do, our families. What is allowed, what's not allowed in your home?
Well, I look at it like, are you on screen time to consume or to produce?
Hmm.
Right. I think that's a big thing. My wife and I both, most of the time that we are on any type of social media, we are producing rather than consuming.
Correct.
So that's a key thing that we teach our kids.
Yeah.
It's not like it sinks in, like a
Yeah.
sponge every time, but that's kind of a principle we talk about. It's different when we have the boys with their Xbox, right?
Hmm.
All they do, that's only there to consume.
Yep.
So, um, and with our boys, it's we they have chores they got to do every day. They have homework they have to do every day. They try and sneak in the Xbox before that's done.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, we say, hey, got to get your chores done, got to get your, homework done, that kind of thing. They're really good about it.
Hmm.
But I think they're good about it because they know in the past they haven't been good and we've allowed them not to be good.
Yeah.
And we have had to put basically just no Xbox, no iPad, nothing until further notice. And it
Yeah.
sometimes a week, it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a
Yeah.
month. And I think the longest we had gone was like 3 weeks.
No
And
way.
yeah, it
Your
was,
kids survived?
they survived. Yeah, yeah, they survived.
We've never done that to our kids yet. To like have to take it away from them that long.
Yeah, but what was great is their behavior
Hmm.
towards their reactions towards things that we needed them to do or want them to do or go to have fun as a family and do this. We did that one time. We've only done it once
Yep.
because we recognized that things weren't going well on the behavior standpoint. And then ever since then, we can recognize their behavior. They also can recognize that they're a little bit more on edge,
Yeah.
and we can see that and we can say, guys, no more. We got to stop the rest of the day, tomorrow,
Let,
whatever. And sometimes they fight about it, but sometimes they actually recognize that, yeah, it's probably too much. So
let's talk about recognizing that behavior. That's one thing I do want to talk about because I feel like we have had abstinence with certain games that have created a behavior for my son. And obviously I have three girls and they're not as much into it as he is. But yeah, this is funny. Your son actually got my son addicted to Fortnite, right? Like they they did it. And I
whoops.
at first I loved it because we live in Texas, you live in Utah. It was
Yeah.
way for our kids to connect online. He could started playing with his cousins online. But then I started seeing that my son he would be shorter with his sisters and with his
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah.
I saw that he'd be a little crankier in the mornings, a little crankier at nighttime. We saw his behaviors changing when he had too much Fortnite. And
Yeah.
we do put timers on how long they can play,
That's
and
that's what's great about at Microsoft and all that. You
you
can
can put
say,
timers.
oh, yep, this day you get this much time, this day you get this
Correct.
much time. That is awesome.
We give our kids an hour, and that might be a lot, that might be too much, but again, it's a reward-based hour.
Yeah.
They have to have same thing. They have to do their schoolwork. They have to do 30 minutes on their piano. They have to work on their hobby. So if it's baseball, football, dance or cheer, stretching, flexibility, they have to work on their hobby for 30 minutes. And then they earn that 1 hour to just kind of be kids, relax and play technology, right?
Yeah.
And they can use that doing TV. They can use that to play Xbox, whatever they want to do. But I feel like when you set those limits, sometimes my son will ask for extra time. Like, hey, dad, my buddy's on now, or my cousins are on now. Can I play? And I'll let them earn extra time. And I'll say, yeah, if you go and do this chore for me, or if you go and get extra piano in, or if you go get extra practice in or whatever it is. Do your exercises. We've been doing a lot of exercises with my son. Like, let's do the air squats, pull-ups, push-ups, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he'll get rewarded for some extra time, and he will always ask, like, but it shuts off. You have to approve the extra time. But when I want to talk about the quality of technology that you're giving them, for my son, I saw behavior changes with games like Fortnite and games like WWE wrestling, right? Where he just got a little crankier, he got a little edgier, which my son is not an edgy kid. He is a very polite, very
Yeah.
kind kid. And when we saw him being shorter and that kind of stuff, we just talked to him about it. And we just said, hey, dude, we've noticed your behavior changes a little bit with Fortnite. You seem a little edgier and crankier with it. Let's just go a week without Fortnite. Let's see how you feel and see how you go. So we've gone a week. We've had abstinence from certain games. And what's crazy, when we pulled away for a week or two from Fortnite, he actually no longer desired to play Fortnite, because him and
Yeah.
his buddies started playing Madden, or they started playing Roblox or whatever it is. And they started having fun doing that. And it's crazy that we drastically saw change in my son, right?
Yeah.
With my daughters and kids, it was the same thing with quality of content. They would watch these kids on YouTube playing with dolls in Russia. Like, have you ever seen those YouTube channels? They watch other kids
Yeah.
play.
Similar. Yeah.
They watch other kids play toys,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then it's just like, what are they doing? They could be creative doing their own things. And we got sick and tired of them just having useless content. And so we made sure that, hey, if you're going to make sure it's learning, make sure it's productive, make sure it's something fun, that's going to uplift our children, versus just useless content. Or some of those cartoons are kind of rude and they use language that we don't want to use in our house and that kind of stuff. Let's put in productive content. Let's make sure that they're getting good
What
content.
give me some examples of some of that productive content that you do
I
that you
mean, even on Disney Channel and that kind of stuff, there can be content that I just don't like the language that they use towards each other, or that kind of stuff. If they're using, um, I love them watching like the animal videos, or videos that just teach them about nature, videos that are just uplifting. I even like America's Got Talent and those kind of things, where it's just uplifting, you feel good type programs, where they
yeah.
feel good after watching them. For my little kids, it's watching Peppa Pigs and watching, productive educational cartoons. If they're going to be watching cartoons, let's watch productive
I just
cartoons.
had an idea, like I didn't know if you were going to say this or not, but I like having it be productive. An idea that came to my head was, if my boys are gonna have some screen time. I say my boys because my daughters, um, I should probably manage that better, actually. Anyways,
We're learning here,
so my
bud.
boys, rather than play, Fortnite or whatever they're doing, I think an idea would be, you can have that time, but on that time, I want to see the history on YouTube to be, how do I get better at soccer?
Hmm.
How do I get better at riding my mountain bike?
Yes.
How do I get better at this? How do I change a tire on my bike? How do
Hmm.
I, pump up a soccer ball
Hmm.
or whatever, right? Soccer and mountain biking is what my kids are liking right now. So, but I think I'm going to actually start doing that
Yeah.
rather than playing games, because I think that will help.
It's being productive,
Yeah.
choosing the quality of technology that they're getting, right? Like, we can control that. Like, they want it, they want to relax, that's fine. They want to watch their TV programs or whatever, just make sure it's quality programs, right? Or educational programs and that kind of stuff, because they can get a ton from that stuff and they actually enjoy it. They actually
Yeah.
really enjoy watching that kind of stuff. And so I feel like, again, you just got to be conscious with what's going on in your household, set rules, set boundaries, talk to your kids about it. And it's a reward based system. And if you have these rules in place, just simple rules, like my kids are getting to the age where we've given them cell phones now, right? And cell phones stay downstairs. They charge on by the computer downstairs. Cell phones don't go in the bedrooms. Like, there's no reason for a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old to have a cell phone by their bed. Like, they,
Yeah.
they don't need to start that yet. And so we just say, yeah, here's your phones. You need these when you're at sports. You need these when you're away from the home and at your friend's house and that kind of stuff. But when you're home, these are plugged in downstairs by the computer. Like, they don't go up into the bedrooms and that kind of stuff. So it's just being intentional with the time, the place, where they're at, what they're doing, so that in a reward based system, that they're getting these technologies out of a reward. It's not just wake up and be on technology, go to bed on technology. There's structures in place, there's rules in place, and it's a reward based system with technology.
Yeah. I like that. There's probably a hundred other ways to do it better.
Yeah.
But I think the important part is being intentional about making sure the kids don't just have free reign,
Hmm.
or you're not just throwing an iPad at them to shut up, right?
Correct.
Like
Yes.
that, I see that, and I've been guilty of it, but it's been very intentional. We've tried not to. I don't have those young kids anymore, but I'm seeing it a lot as I'm going. I might be at a restaurant or this or that or
Hmm.
whatever, and I'm just seeing it. It's like,
But back
shut
back
up,
in the day, how did
give
your
them the
parents
iPad.
get you to be quiet? Like
I colored.
that exactly. So
It
think
was like
about what we
coloring
did
or
growing
whatever.
up.
Yeah.
My parents, I grew up on a farm. My parents kicked us outside. Like, just go in the
Oh
backyard.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Go play in the dirt. Go be
I thought you
creative.
meant like at a restaurant. But
No,
yeah, yeah, yeah. But
the
yeah, yeah. We were always
but even at
outside,
a
always
restaurant,
outside.
instead of bringing iPads to dinner,
Wait, I didn't
which
think
you
I
see
went
all
to
the time,
restaurants as a kid, so
we
maybe
didn't
not.
really either. But bring crayons,
Yeah,
bring stuff they can be productive with, right? Those kind of things. So have productive apps on your phone. If they are going to be doing an app, let them do crossword puzzles at a
yeah,
restaurant or whatever. But you can be creative with the type of technology that they're getting, that it's uplifting them, it's building them. But I feel like children need to learn self-control and they need to have checks and balances. Otherwise, when they're teenagers and when they're adults, they will have no control. And I love that you talked about being a producer and a consumer. It is a dangerous place to be if you have no self-control with how much you consume. I think if everybody looked on their phones right now and understood how much they're actually consuming on technology right now, they'd be blown away by how many hours they waste just sitting there, just swiping and watching and swiping and watching.
yeah,
And it can overtake your life if you don't control it. We're learning these habits at a young age, that there needs to be good quality time. There needs to be a start time and end time that checks and balances with it, limits and rewards to it. Like, hey, I'm going to get on after I do all the things I need to do. It's a reward based system.
yeah,
And there's times that I like to browse on social media. There's times that I like to just watch TV, but I always want to be productive before that time.
yeah,
And they're habits that you learn little and when you take until you're older. And I think as parents, we just need to challenge our children to not just give them an iPhone or a tablet or a TV when we need to kill time and just get them to be quiet and get them to be entertained. Force your children to be creative. Make them color, make them draw, make them go outside and play. You'll be surprised by that behavior that you're talking about on how that'll change with your kids,
yeah. It totally changes.
And we're still learning this as we go. Like I'm 5 years old, 4 kids between 5 and 12. We are learning this as we
Oh yeah,
go.
there's no question. Yeah,
And and I love these types of conversations in this network for that reason, is that we can bounce ideas and learn from different people and go over this kind of stuff. So guys, if you want to reach out to us on social media and give us inputs on what you and your families do that has worked, or if you have questions on what we do with our families, feel free to reach out to us on Instagram or on YouTube to watch this podcast and get into the comments. We do look at those, we do read them, and we answer them on social media or in these podcasts. So thank you for tuning in today. We'll see you next time.